How's it going? I hope you've been blessed. I've been very blessed, even though I've had some little accidents along the way. You might have noticed the eyebrows. Yeah. So I am now 56, so I'm getting the old man eyebrows, so they're growing like, caterpillar legs sticking out. And so I tried to razor it off, and somehow the razor was set at the wrong number. Don't know how that happened, but yeah, I buzzed my eyebrows. So, whee! And, normally you would avoid doing videos after you did something silly like that. But the Lord called me to be faithful to Him. People wonder, why do I do these videos? It's not like I have a huge following. I'm not pastoring a large church. I'm just a normal guy living out his normal Christian life the best he can. But the Lord asked me to do this, and I'm trying to be faithful to what He asked me to do. And if nothing else, if nobody watches this, I'm still being faithful, because to do these videos, I still have to pray. I still have to read. I still have to walk with the Lord, because if I haven't been with Him, I have nothing to give. I have nothing to record. So I've been with the Lord this morning, and every time I'm with Him, which is I try to be every day with the Lord, He speaks to me, always. And He speaks, His voice sounds like me, but I can tell the difference when I'm in the Spirit, because when I'm in the Spirit, it's positive. Like, I know. You have a knowing that you just don't understand why. You just know certain things are facts. And so the Lord asked me to speak on a couple different things. So I'm going to start with the first one He spoke to me about this morning. So the first thing He spoke to me about this morning is prosperity. How to be prosperous. There are complete ministries that are out there, and all they concentrate on is making money, how to make money, how to be prosperous, how to make money, how to make money. So I'm going to share with you what the Lord spoke to me about, and some practical things from my life. So let me go way back in history first. When I first got saved, I was younger. I was probably 21, 22 years old when I really, really got serious about God. I got the Holy Spirit living inside me. I was speaking in tongues. I was reading the Bible. And I was going through electronics school. I got saved in the middle of a 2-year electronics course. I got saved. And somewhere about 4 months or so into it, I ran out of student loan money or grant money, whatever I had, and life was going to be rough. So I made the decision to test out early, which you could do. You got one shot at it. You could take the test, which is the final exam from a 2-year course, and if you passed it, you're free to go. So I did that, and I passed the test. I guess I was good at taking tests. I don't know. Maybe I took the right guesses, multiple choice. But I finished a 2-year course in 4.5 months, and I was out of there. Now, what I didn't get is all the knowledge I should have. When you sit through a 2-year course, you learn a lot. You get a lot more hands-on time. I was smart and I could absorb it quick, but I just couldn't keep it. So I found myself out of school, and I took an electronics job, and I found out real quick I had no idea what I was doing. The stuff on paper was completely different when you opened up some electronics and there was voltage running through it and you could shock yourself. So I found myself working for a company, and I didn't do too well, and it didn't have a lot of business anyway, so it didn't work out too great. But eventually I got a job with New Generation Electronics, and at the time they were like the big company. They were like the Best Buy. They were the big thing in Baton Rouge. And so I got a job with them in electronics, and I started working there, and they paid you a percentage of whatever the bill was. You could literally make the bill any amount you wanted to, for parts, whatever. As long as you took care of parts, you got to split the labor amount with the company. And it was like 49%. So it could be good money if you knew what you were doing. So I didn't know what I was doing. So my first month there, I was really, really struggling. And I was barely making anything. So if it wasn't like something quick and simple that I could figure out, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I kept listening to the Word, kept reading, kept doing my thing. And I noticed that the guy that worked there that was making the most money, his name was Clyde. He was a saved brother in the Lord, and Clyde just did extremely well. I mean, he breezed through repairs. He made a ton of money, and I just wanted whatever Clyde had. So I figured, you know, I didn't really have much because I finished this course too quick. Too quick. One day I had a cassette deck open. I don't know if you even know what cassettes are, but back in the day we had these little cassettes. You could put in there and hit play and a little tape moves. Anyways, if you don't know, you don't know. It's okay. So I'm working on this cassette deck, and the problem with the cassette deck is that it had no sound. It would just cut in and out. And I couldn't figure out what was going on with it. I sat there realizing that I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make any money. It's not working out to me. And I started praying. I just literally just put my head down and started praying right there. I was just on the edge of crying. And I spoke to the Lord. And the one thing I was present in my mind of is I understood that Jesus lived in me. That was part of I got saved. Jesus came, live inside of me. And so it came to me while I was praying, as I got into the Spirit, Jesus lives inside of me. So I spoke to the Lord, and I prayed something like this. I said, Lord, I know you know all things. You created all things. And so this little piece of electronics is silly. I mean, it's nothing to you, but it's big to me. I said, Lord, I ask that you be my lead technician. Let me just be your helper. Let me be the hands that does the soldering, but I ask you to figure things out. I said, Lord Jesus, I ask that you help me fix this cassette deck. And immediately the thought came to my mind to get a pencil and tap the eraser on the board. Seemed kind of silly, but I did it. So I'm just, la la, thank you, Lord Jesus, that, bing, and it started making sound. When I tapped in this one spot, sound came out. And it came to my mind, it's bad solder. Resolder that area. So, I was feeling excited. So I unplugged the cassette deck so it didn't have no power going to it. Got my solder iron, and I soldered everything within about an inch of that area. Plugged it back in. It worked perfect. Tapped with a pencil. It never would cut out again. And so the Lord really helped me solve that problem. He really gave me the answer on how to fix it. So after that, you can guess that everything I laid hands on, everything that I touched, I prayed about it. It's like, Lord, show me this, show me this, show me this. And the Lord began to show me and teach me. And so one of the things is he made me prosperous. I went from making next to nothing to making 4 or 5 times that. And we're talking about the end of the 80s. At the end of the day, 80s, so I might have been making $600-700 a month, failing, and all of a sudden I'm making between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. In the 80s, that was good money. That was really good money for me. So the point I want you to get out of that is that the key to that prosperity was a couple things. It was working like you're working for the Lord, which is what I did. Let me back up even further. So let me give you some points. So number 1, get saved. If you don't know Jesus, get to know him. He died on the cross for you, for me, for every one of us. First thing is get to know him. Say, Jesus, I know you died on the cross and what you did was for me. I accept that. I make you Lord of my life, and I ask you to teach me and help me and walk with me every day. If you prayed that and you believe it, he is now your Lord. So that's step 1 for prosperity. Step 2, make Jesus the technician of your life. Make him the janitor of your life. Make him the whatever you decide to do, whatever you're in business for, make him that. If you're doing sales, make him the head sales guy. Ask him to teach you how to sell. You're managing something, ask him how to manage it. Whatever you're doing, ask Jesus to teach you how to do it. Okay, so that's 2. Next thing is work like you're working for the Lord. When nobody's watching, Jesus is still inside you. You carry him everywhere you go. So everywhere you carry him, make him proud. If you're mopping floors, mop floors like you're mopping the floors of heaven. Do a great job, because I promise you, one thing that happens is when you work that way for the Lord, people see it. And it doesn't take any time at all for you to climb the ladder of success. So, for example, when I worked for other security companies, I have a security company now. When I worked for other companies, it didn't take very long for me to become the head guy. I worked with ADT back in the 90s. I was there 5 weeks when I became the lead technician. They had 12 or 13 other guys. That guy's been there for a long time that had seniority. The one thing that gave me the edge is that I worked like I worked for Jesus. I didn't care what time I got off work. I was there early. I worked late. I worked hard. I didn't complain. I did my job. So the one thing I want you to understand with that is work for somebody like you're working for the Lord and allow God to build your character. One of the things he will do while you're working for somebody is he's going to build your character. If you find yourself wanting to quit all the time, thinking your boss is an idiot, God is still working on your character. You need to be broken of you. You need to understand God is trying to form something in you. There will come a point where you're at peace, you're working somewhere, you've settled on, you're fine being there, you're fine with whatever the Lord wants to do, and you're prosperous, and they've made you the head guy there, and you're making about as much as you can possibly make in that one place. That will happen. That's one of the things you'll know that you're in the right place. But then the day's going to come, from my own personal experience, the day will come where the Lord will start impressing on you that he wants you to go into business. This happens once he's developed some of your character and you've perfected the thing that he called you to do. And this is going to line up with your calling. Okay, so for example, I have a prophetic calling on my life. Didn't choose it. It's just what God put on me. So I know things that most people don't know. I hear things that a lot of people don't hear. That's what God called me to do. So in that, I figure things out. It's part of my calling is knowing and figuring things out. So I hear from the Lord, and so I tend to be in the technical side with electronics and figure things out. That works for me. I also can do carpentry. There's a lot of things I can do because I made Jesus the Lord of my life and made him my lead tech. Whatever it is I'm doing, I made him that. And he does these things through me. So it makes me more prosperous. Eventually the Lord spoke to me about being in business. And I thought it was the devil. I'm not listening. I'm fine with my job. I've got a company vehicle. Things are working good. I've got insurance. I got everything I want at the time. I don't need anything. And the Lord started speaking to me about business, being in business. And I didn't want to do it. So because I didn't step out when he asked me to step out, he worked it out to where I had no choice. So eventually I was in a situation where I had to go. And the second I had to go, somebody made a phone call to me and said, hey, how'd you like to be my partner in business? The next thing you know, I'm in business. And a few months later, after helping this partner and his wife try to come to the Lord ended up speaking to me and asking me to part and start a different business. So I bought that partner out, bought all the tools, gave him money, everything I possibly could, and ventured out on my own and became Pro AV and Security. Since I started that company, which is a long time ago, many years ago, I've been prosperous. I've been steady on the way up. Every year we make more than the previous year. So as far as material things, I have everything I want. And it's a weird thing. You have to kind of be there to understand, but the Lord doesn't have a problem with you having things, as long as those things are not more important than he is. And a lot of people make money their idols, things their idols. All their thought process is based on those things. Like I play guitar, so I wanted some guitars. So the Lord gave me money to buy some guitars. Took it a step further. My wife gave me a bunch of tools to build guitars. Now I build guitars. So if I want one, I could build literally anything I want. And it means nothing. I mean, it's nice to have, but it means nothing compared to the Lord. So all the things that I wanted, I have. But I happily lay them down at the feet of Jesus and say, thank you that you created all these things. You don't worship those things, you worship your creator. So that's another step you need to be aware of in prosperity, is that the money can't mean everything to you. It's a means to an end. It's a way to eat, bless other people, um, have a roof above your head, a car to get to work, but money doesn't mean anything. You need to be dependent on the Lord. Part of prosperity is being dependent on God. He's going to bring you through phases where, in my own example, I'm in business. I stepped out in business and immediately money was there. Did fantastic right off the bat. But then a few months later, I was dead broke. I mean, there's no money in the bank. I've got 4 kids to feed, and I didn't know what to do. And so I had some people from church come over and prayed with me and believed with me. And what finally happened is I went back to the Lord and said, you put me in business. You caused me to be in business. You asked me to be in business. Now I'm here. This is on you. I'm just waiting for the phone to ring. And the phone rung. And so I learned from then on, anytime that thing would come on where we'd be seeming like we'd be broke, first thing I do is go back to Jesus and say, Lord, you put me in business. I think that you're going to take care of this business. And with every time that happened, we grew more. Faith grew more. And that's part of the walk with Jesus. And that's part of the prosperity, is that the more you trust him, the more he trusts you with things. Like, if you trust the Lord that everything you have could be wiped out, and tomorrow you could be broke, and he could build you back up 10 times, 100 times more. If you have that trust in the Lord, he doesn't mind you having things, because it's not your God. Things are just things. Bless people with the things you have. There's so many nuggets of wisdom that I've gained over the years as it concerns prosperity. And I'm trying to, as it comes to my mind, just give you some thoughts, give you some ideas. In the interest of keeping these videos brief, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. But I hope you got a little something out of that, and I hope you got encouraged that you can be prosperous, you can live well, life can be good for you, but don't let money be your God. Don't let it mean everything to you. Until next time, be blessed.